There's a moment in every woman's life when she starts questioning everything, not because she's insecure, not because she's overthinking, but because deep inside, she knows something isn't adding up. His words say one thing, but his behaviors, those subtle, quiet, unconscious reactions, tell a different story, a story she feels, but cannot explain. And it lives in the space between what he says and what he does. This is where the truth hides, not in declarations, not in long conversations or late-night texts. The truth about what a man truly feels, what he truly intends, is revealed in how he behaves when he thinks you're not watching, in how he responds, not in how he performs. CARL Jung taught that what remains unconscious will always direct our lives, and when it comes to love, this couldn't be more true. A man may believe he is detached, logical, emotionally reserved. He may even convince himself that his intentions are unclear or casual, but the unconscious always leaves clues, subtle ones, brief ones, but once you know how to see them, you'll never question his truth again. It's in the way he looks at you after you laugh, in the shift in his breathing when you cry, in the small pauses before he speaks, the way his hand lingers, the sudden change in his tone when you say something that touches him. These are not accidents, these are revelations, and they matter more than anything he claims. When a man is emotionally invested but afraid to admit it, his body becomes the translator. He may not say he misses you, but his entire posture will shift when he sees you again. He may not call it love, but he shows up when you least expect it. He pays attention to the things you didn't think he noticed. He remembers the coffee you like. He gets quiet when you mention someone else. He reacts to your pain with tension in his shoulders. These are not coincidences. They are unconscious acts of emotional engagement. You can hear the truth in how he listens. You can feel it in the way he slows down when you enter a room, in how he adjusts himself to your pace without thinking. These are subtle, almost invisible acts, but they are real, because no one can fake what they don't realize they're doing. And that's why these gestures matter more than words. There's a reason he hesitates before he speaks. There's a reason his tone shifts when you ask how he really feels. He may avoid the question, but the hesitation is the answer. The shift in tone is the confession. The way he avoids eye contact, the way he suddenly needs space after a deep emotional moment, these are not signs that he feels nothing. They are signs that he feels too much and doesn't know what to do with it. Men who were never taught to hold emotion gently often hide it through logic, distraction, or withdrawal. But the body keeps showing the truth, over and over, in his behavior, in how quickly he returns after distance, in how defensive he gets when you pull away, in how much he tries to seem unaffected when he's clearly watching everything. These subtle behaviors are not about manipulation. They are about survival. A man who has learned to protect himself from emotional exposure may not know how to love with words, but his actions speak, and they speak with more clarity than any message ever could. Sometimes he stays silent after you open up. You assume he doesn't care. But what if that silence is not disinterest, but overwhelm? What if he's processing something for the first time? What if your vulnerability touched something in him that he's kept buried, and now he doesn't have the words, because he never needed them before? CARL Jung believed that the unconscious leaks through everything, through posture, through reaction, through hesitation. And when a man begins to care more than he expected, his unconscious begins to fight against his defenses. He becomes inconsistent, not because he's playing games, but because he's in conflict. One part wants to protect, the other wants to connect. And you feel it. You feel it in the way he says goodbye too quickly, in the way he watches you leave, in the way he finds excuses to be near, even when he says he needs space. These are not mixed signals. These are emotional truths, trying to emerge from a lifetime of control. So when you feel confused by what he says versus what he does, trust the behavior, trust the pattern of how he shows up. Trust the way he remembers your favorite song but forgets to reply. Trust the way he notices when you're off but avoids talking about it. These contradictions are not rejection. They are emotional delays, and they carry more honesty than rehearsed affection ever could. There is a language that doesn't require voice. You've always known how to read it. It's why you sense things before they happen. Why you know when someone's hiding pain, even if they smile. That intuition is not imagination. It's your body understanding his. You don't need to force clarity. His actions are already showing you. The way he treats you when no one is watching. the way he reaches for your hand and then pulls away, the way he listens when you speak about things that matter. That's where his real intentions are revealed. Not in flowers, not in grand gestures, but in the quiet, consistent ways he lets you in and then gets scared of what that means. This is the paradox of emotional truth. It often comes through contradiction, through moments that confuse and soften, through behaviors that say, I care, even if I don't know how to say it. And if you've seen these signs, even once, you're not making it up. You're not asking for too much. You're witnessing something real. And when you witness something real, it's okay to hold it gently. Not with pressure, not with urgency, but with presence. Because a man's truth often arrives long before he's ready to speak it. And it almost always arrives through behavior. Let that be enough. For now, let what you already see guide you more than what he refuses to say. Because in the quiet actions, the subtle reactions, and the details he doesn't know you've noticed, he's already told you everything. Sometimes it's not about what you hear, but about what you feel before you have time to explain it. If you've ever sensed something deeper beneath his smallest gestures, and you're ready to trust that instinct, I invite you to explore the Jung Method. The link is pinned in the first comment. Now, let's go deeper. We often think that clarity comes through conversation, that we'll finally understand someone when they find the words to explain what they feel. But the human heart doesn't wait for language. It moves before permission, and it reveals the truth in the ways most people are too distracted to notice. When a man begins to care for someone, truly care, his unconscious begins to act out what his mind is not yet prepared to say. His routines shift, his energy changes. He listens longer, even if he doesn't always reply the way you hope. He becomes more present in the room, more affected by your emotions, more aware of your silence. This isn't always obvious. In fact, it's almost never loud. It might show up in how he positions his body when you speak, in how he suddenly remembers something small you once said weeks ago, in how he glances toward you when someone else enters the conversation. These are the quiet signals, the ones that aren't practiced, the ones that tell you what he doesn't dare to say. It's easy to dismiss them, especially if you've been hurt before, especially if you've learned to mistrust the subtle, because the loud has failed you. But those slight reactions, the way his face softens, the way his voice lowers, the way he becomes quiet when he's near you, they carry more truth than you realize. You can't fake the way your body responds to emotion. That's why Jung insisted on looking beneath the surface. The unconscious reveals itself through patterns, through slips, through symbols. In love, it reveals itself through behavior, through what he does when no one's watching, through how he protects you when you didn't ask, through how he grows tense when you're hurt, through how he offers presence without knowing he's offering anything at all. This is where the essence of his intention lives, not in a plan, not in a goal, but in his unspoken, repeated instinct to care, to check in, to be near, to follow your rhythm, even if he doesn't understand why he's doing it. These are not habits. They are messages from the deeper parts of him, and sometimes he pulls back. Sometimes his confusion shows up in mixed signals. One day he's fully present, the next he seems far away. But this too is a kind of signal. A man who doesn't care doesn't struggle with his feelings. A man who doesn't care doesn't shift between closeness and retreat. Only someone feeling something real has something to run from. So even in the inconsistency, there's meaning. Even in the silence, there's noise. And even when he says nothing, he's still communicating, with his energy, with his delay, with his behavior that doesn't match his words because it's not supposed to. Words come from thought. These reactions come from soul. That's why when you feel it, even for a moment, it changes you. You might not have confirmation. You might not get the conversation you wanted. But something in you knows. You've felt his real intention. And now the surface level answers can't cover it anymore. Maybe he won't say he loves you. But when he touches your back gently, when you're walking together, something in you hears it. Maybe he won't admit he's afraid to lose you. But when he watches you walk away with a look you weren't supposed to see, your body catches the message. Maybe he doesn't respond to your vulnerability with words, but with presence, with stillness, with a gaze that lingers too long. And that's where the truth is living. You don't need a speech. You don't need closure from the mouth. The closure is already inside you. When you trust what you felt before doubt arrived, and the more you attune to these cues, the more your own inner world softens. You start seeing beyond masks. You stop chasing what's loud and start receiving what's real, because real connection is not performative. It shows itself when no one's watching, in how he looks at you when you're not looking, in how he remembers how you like your tea, in how he gives space not to leave you, but to keep from losing control. These are expressions of care, not always romantic. Sometimes they're scared, sometimes messy, sometimes even clumsy, but they are real. And if you can meet that realness with patience, something opens. You stop needing him to tell you everything, because now you're reading everything in how he moves, how he shows up, how he listens when you speak about things that scare you. You're reading the truth in his stillness, in his tension, in his pauses. And here's something important. Just because he shows care doesn't mean he's ready. Just because he reveals intention through his behavior doesn't mean he'll follow through. The unconscious speaks, but it does not promise. That's why your job is not to cling to what you saw. It's to respect it for what it is. An invitation, a glimpse, a moment of truth. You can hold that truth without turning it into expectation. You can honor that gesture without asking it to become something it's not ready to be. This is maturity. This is feminine strength. This is what it means to love from wisdom, not need. He may never fully realize what his behavior has revealed. He may still try to act distant. He may still talk about other things. But something in you already knows, because you were there when his guard dropped, when his presence became magnetic, when he softened in a way that can't be reversed. And now, your choice is not whether he'll admit it, but whether you'll believe what you already felt. Some truths come without words. Some love stories unfold in glances and gestures and silences that speak louder than anything else. If you pay attention, if you trust yourself, you'll never again be fooled by empty words, because now you know what to watch. Now you know where the real message lives. In the subtle, in the unconscious, in the way he looks at you without blinking, in the way he touches your shoulder without thinking, in the way he tenses when you cry. These are the codes of real intention. These are the fragments of the emotional truth he can't yet name. Let them be enough. Let them speak. Let them shape your understanding of what love really feels like when it's not performed, but revealed. Because what you felt in that moment, however small, was not an illusion. It was contact, between souls, between truths, and in that space, everything is known, even when nothing is said.